Can Invincible survive or beat analog horror? Well, let's examine the character Invincible from the show Invincible and see how well he fares against some popular analog horrors. Before any comparisons are made, let's see just how capable Invincible, or Mark Grayson, actually is. From the comics and the show, we see several different feats from Mark and the different characters. From the first season and comic chapters, Invincible is kind of a pushover, but later he becomes stronger and grows to be more heroic and efficient as he is constantly threatened. From these feats, which I'll mostly pull from the comics as that Mark has completed his story, we see that he is capable of destroying a weakened, destabilized planet with some help. He is also able to take quite a beating from comparably strong characters and still keep going. Other things he can survive and fight in are at extreme temperatures for short amounts of time, as he and other Viltrumites are described as having smart atoms which adapt to the acute changes in the environment. These smart atoms also allow him to recover from severe damage that would otherwise be fatal to other characters like humans per se. But he does need to be outside of combat for some time. His speed varies somewhat, but he is able to travel at sublight speeds and can fight at slower hypersonic speeds. Other notes about Mark is that he is able to attack with more force than he is able to survive, as in the planet feat, where if Mark did not have help to destroy the weakened planet, then he would have splattered on it upon contact. So now let's examine and compare Invincible to some analog horrors, starting with an analog horror with creatures that come from space, and it's called Gemini Home Entertainment. In this analog horror, there is a near Saturn-sized planet called the Iris. It's a living planet that wants to mutate Earth for reasons. It accomplishes this in the series by introducing alien life forms that start to take over humanity. Some of the more dangerous aliens are the woodcrawlers and their different versions, along with the deep root disease and its many carriers. The woodcrawler and their different types are spider-like entities that do most of the humanity-ending grunt work. They can easily crush cars, survive the crushing depths of deep oceans, and are the size of cars, and they can expose you to deep root disease. Speaking of this deep root disease, it also stems from these little root guys, which burrow into you and infect you. When infected, it first starts with a few bumps and boils, along with terrible symptoms till you become nerves, veins, and arteries. At the last stages, you become what's called a nature's mockery, which is another creature from Gemini Home. This thing is also dangerous because if you touch it, you amalgamate into it. There's also a large bear creature called the Wretch, which for this video is pretty much just a stronger, larger woodcrawler that amalgamates you into it if you touch it. Now, for the Iris. This planet is the origin and creator of all the aliens, and it itself has some powers. Those powers are technopathy and minor reality warping powers. It also acts as the main brain in the hive mind, which lets it coordinate stuff. So, does Invincible invincibly beat the Iris and its many creepy critters? Well, let's see. Invincible is more than strong enough to destroy the woodcrawlers, nature's mockery, the root, and the wretch, but may be amalgamated or get the deep root disease if physical contact is made. Now, depending on the smart atoms and also his partly human body, it's a toss-up if the deep root disease could do anything to him. I mean, there is the Scourge virus, and that was pretty bad for the Viltrumites, so Mark might have an issue. But what about the Iris? Well, that would be a difficult fight as it's a large planet. Mark could enter into the Iris and damage its organs, which could end the Iris, but the deep root disease and minor reality warping could prove a detriment to Mark. Now let's look at Vita Carnis, the living meat analog horror. This series is about creatures that sprang out of nowhere and are now living alongside people and wildlife. From the creatures of the series, you first have the meat plant called the Crawl, which grows similar to a normal plant. From it sprouts many of the other creatures, with the first of these creatures being the Trimming, which are mostly defenseless creatures that don't do very much. Next creature is the Meat Snake, which can grow quite large, but it's also harmless, and it just eats rotting dead things. Now the first dangerous Vita Carnis is the Mimic. It starts out small with a similar look to the Trimming, but it actively hunts things. Then it grows to a dangerous humanoid which now prefers to hunt people. It usually only hunts in secret and will abandon prey if it seems that they will fight back. Guns and melee weapons do prove effective, but it's better to just avoid them, as told by the instructional tape. If enough prey is eaten, then the mimic will become an elder mimic, which is a larger and stronger version. It gains bulletproof dark skin and a slightly more human face, which is also its only weak point. Next dangerous Carnis from the crawl is the Harvester, which is just a crawl that continues growing into a bulb with several tendrils that go around it. Some tendrils are just like roots, while others are like bear traps that if you are caught on, they will inject you with neurotoxins and anticoagulants. And lastly from the crawl is the Host of Influence. This one is a stationary hunter that sends out mind-controlling spores that make you want to get close so it can cut you down. The other creatures are not from the crawl, but are part of the Vita Carnis familia. First of these is the Monolith, a large 120-meter meat titan with an EMP ability. Its dense body is capable of fast and near-complete regeneration, as part of it was exploded by a rocket in one of the videos, and it recuperated its lost mass quickly. It mainly uses its large frame and meat spaghetti arms for destruction. Next is the Singularities, which are just intelligent orbs that serve as the center to the hive mind intelligence and authority over all the Carnis. It's said that even though their outer shell is glass-like, it may be indestructible or at least very durable. It can interact with and disable electronics and produces crawl around it in certain situations. Next creature is the Merged. It is pretty much a merge of all the 7 singularities, various Vita Carni, and 2 exceptionally large meat snakes. It is a bit larger than a monolith, and it can fly around. It has not shown to do much else, but it does retain some of the abilities of the singularities, and it has the regeneration that the monoliths have. The last Vita Carni is the Merge Phase 2. That resulted from the merge merging with a monolith. This new merged is a roughly 700-meter big flying creature with skin similar to the Elder Mimic. So does Invincible invincibly make the Vita Carnis Mortis Carnis? Well, let's see. Mark can easily deal with all of the creatures that come from the crawl and along with the crawl itself. But the monolith and the merged are the main problems. This is mostly because of the regeneration, as Mark would have trouble putting them down as they would keep growing the lost mass back. The monoliths could hit Invincible with a decently powerful attack, but Mark is no stranger to getting hit with attacks of similar potency or more, and the EMP is ineffective against living beings. The merge phase 1 and Mark would also be a probable stalemate, as Mark would just continually try to put it down while it continues regenerating and flying away. The merge phase 1 has few offensive options, but against Invincible, he moves just too fast. Now merge phase 2 is where it gets a little more interesting. This is due to its insanely durable and dense skin and incredibly large size. And if this darker skin is bulletproof at lower densities as seen with the Elder Mimic, then the 700-meter big merged would have a denser skin layer, making it explosion proof. This makes it so that Mark would have to put in much more effort to hurt the creature, which would just regenerate it back. Now, this large creature does not have many offensive options, and if it were to try and hit Mark, then he would just dodge. So this would be an invincibly possible stalemate, as Invincible may not be able to put down the larger entities from Vita Carnis, just as they would not really be able to hurt him because of his speed and durability. Now let's look at the Monument Mythos, an analog horror about several powered-up versions of people from American history doing some esoteric stuff. From this collection of different characters, let's start with the D-Day Knight. This super powered up version of Frank Sinatra was created by Nixon from the Nixonverse. This superhero type character went around helping American soldiers in war and got the name D-Day Knight as he was very helpful on D-Day in Monument Mythos or something. He is said to bench press 1.7 million kilograms, can catch and redirect several bullets to protect soldiers during war, and can inflict destruction that can level a city if needed. Although being a great asset in war, if he does get hit with several large explosions or some small nukes, he will be put out of commission for some time. Now his best feat was when he absorbed and took out all of the moon people that are called the Lunarians, and their matter along with their queen, which is comparably powerful to him. He was able to do this as he was empowered with a bit of Alcatraz matter, which let him absorb and destroy moon people matter through the entire United States. Now Alcatraz matter is special matter that flows differently than the matter of the universe, making it capable of giving a lot of power to someone and potentially change their fate. Next powerful character is the Crescent King, which was originally the last son of Alcatraz, which is very similar in capability and origin to the D-Day Knight, but after some convincing and brainwashing, he became the Crescent King, but not before he was unconvinced from being Jesus in Vietnam. Now, this guy mostly exists incorporeally, and he is able to grow stronger and more present the more people believe, fear, and worship him. Due to this mimetic existence, he is effectively unkillable, as he can continue to exist in the minds of people. Now, his strength is greater than his previous identity, as when another character, Nixon, stated that in a fight between him and the Crescent King, it would end in the destruction of the planet just by their clash. But how strong is the creator of the D-Day Knight, Crescent King, and the Queen Lunarian? Well, Nixon came from the Horned Serpent or George Washington, as an almost extension of the creature. This means that he is entirely composed of Alcatraz matter, allowing him to have universal levels of control over the universe. This allows him to fictionalize the universe he is in, and as stated before, he can destroy planets that are close to him if he is fighting other powerful characters. He can do several other things as he is pretty much a deity in the Nixonverse. But what about the George Washington? Well, he became a giant snake-like creature that exists outside time and space. His awakening destroyed another universe, and he can do everything Nixon can, but just a bit better. So how does Invincible invincibly stack up to all of this? Well, let's start with the weaker characters. D-Day Knight would lose, as Mark has shown greater feats of strength and speed, along with a couple other factors. The Crescent King would prove to be a difficult fight. Incorporeal and mimetic existence aside, Crescent King would be, at the least, similar to Mark in stats, to maybe being a bit higher. But if mimetic immortality and incorporeal existence are taken into account, then Mark has no real way to attack the Crescent King, while he can attack Mark. Now for Nixon and also Washington, Invincible just loses. Both are higher dimensional deity level beings capable of destroying or fictionalizing entire universes pretty easily. So, can Invincible from Invincible invincibly beat or survive analog horrors? Well, he can beat out about half of the analog horror creatures, spanned out across many of the popular ones. He may perish to many, or at least some analog horror viruses, but he would be able to survive most analog horrors.